How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to 2A News Now. And as always, I appreciate everybody that takes time to watch my videos. Not too long ago, we found out that Donald Trump and the Department of Justice have cut back on the funding of the ATF, as well as cutting at least 500 inspectors from the ATF as well. And also they have plans of merging the ATF into the DEA. Now today we're finding out that DOGE is working with the ATF to cut at least 50 regulations by the 4th of July. Now the rumor is that they actually want to cut 47 regulations because of course Donald Trump is the 47th president. But they're not ruling out cutting more than 50 regulations. And we all know that some Republicans have called for abolishing the ATF completely. And we all know that a lot of these regulations need to be cut back because frankly there's just too many of them. And a lot of them go against our Second Amendment rights. But of course there's those on the left saying the cuts that the Trump administration are proposing in 2026, as well as almost 50 regulation cuts that they're planning to do, will make it easier for criminals to get a hold of firearms. Like I said earlier, we're just finding out about this today, that DOGE is working with ATF to cut at least 50 regulations. So at this time, there's really no details of what that's going to look like. Now, not only are they going to cut regulations, but also they're going to revise some of them as well. And Attorney General Pam Bondi made it abundantly clear earlier that she wants to reduce the red tape at the ATF, especially the ones that burden law-abiding citizens, and make sure they do what they're supposed to do and go after the criminals. Now, the person they put in charge of overseeing DOGE working with ATF to cut back regulations is a guy named Robert Leiter, and he's the ATF General Counsel, and he's bringing in extra ATF attorneys to work on all of these changes. Now, we know DOGE was originally put in place to cut back on wasteful spending, as well as abuse in the government. But recently they've been used in making regulatory changes and policy changes. And here's one of the things for sure that they want to change, and that's the 4473 form. They want to cut back on the number of pages on that form from 7 down to 3. And one of the reasons they want to do that is there's been a lot of complaints because the form is so long, it makes it easier for people to make mistakes on it. And of course, the reason for that was during the Biden administration when they're revoking FFL licenses just because of minor paperwork errors. And here's what the president of Everytown for Gun Safety had to say about the cuts. These cuts would be a dream come true to gun traffickers, straw purchasers, and unscrupulous gun dealers, and a nightmare for law enforcement and public safety. The gun haters always got to get the fear-mongering in there as soon as possible, don't they? And here's what the vice president of Giffords had to say about the cuts. The administration claims to support law enforcement and care about fighting crime, but they're proposing the most radical defunding of police we have ever seen in the federal government. What happened after the Summer of Love when Democrat cities all across the country defunded their police departments? And then when it got so bad and crime went through the roof, they were begging and pleading to get them back. So of course the gun-hating left are going to fearmonger all they want concerning the cutbacks to the ATF, as well as DOGE working with the ATF now to cut at least 50 regulations. But we all know this is the right thing to do, and it's the right time to do it, and get rid of a lot of these regulations that are stopping us from exercising our Second Amendment rights. I would really like to hear your guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. What you think of DOGE working with ATF to cut back on regulations. And as always, I appreciate everybody that supports the channel. Not only those who watch my videos every time I post them, but also the ones who take a little bit extra time, not only by watching the videos, but also after watching the videos, they like, share, and subscribe, and hit those post notifications. And I appreciate that very much. And as always, I invite all of you to come back and watch my next video.